Good evening, good day, good night. Welcome to another edition of the GreenBaje podcast. As always, that is AJ. He is the Green. I am Ken. I am the Beige. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome a very good friend of mine, former co-worker and Ravens, well, probably the biggest Ravens fan that I know, Mr. David Formisano. David, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we are very glad to have you on. Just as a little background, AJ, as I said, David and I we used to work together. We go to the Rapids games together. He's got to be more involved in MLS than he probably ever would have been if it was not for him. So that is
Good looking out, David. And I feel like even though I don't know you, I know you enough. Fantasy football brings people together, right?
It
So
does.
I feel like you're a friend of the show now.
oh
Of
yes,
course.
definitely because
Hey, I won the
David,
first season, so
there
Yeah,
you go.
exactly. I wasn't too pleased about that. So
Yeah, I think because he beat you in the final, wasn't it?
I
I
think
think so.
so. Yeah.
Either that or he eliminated me before that. But I'm pretty sure I lost him at some point. That's why I
Yeah.
wasn't too pleased.
In the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean that would tell you just how much it affected me because I didn't even get close to the playoffs this season. But David, we are very very happy to have you here with us because this week our episode is called "Bend It Like Beckham," and there was a Beckham that made headlines this week, Mr. Odell Beckham Jr. Off the rip, here we go. Odell Beckham Jr. is a Raven. He has signed on the dotted line and he is officially going to be a member of the Ravens organization to the tune of $15 million guaranteed, with the potential of being $18 million if the the different motivators are hit. So, David, as this is your squad and then this is your guy over here, does this matter? That's the question that everybody's asking. Does OBJ to the Ravens actually matter?
Yes. Very much so. This is I've never seen the Ravens do anything like this in the time I've been a fan, which has basically been the entire time the Ravens have been a franchise. So they've never committed to a free agent like this. Definitely not a wide receiver. So yeah, it's a huge, huge deal. I know the fan base is we're stoked. This is something we've been asking for years and years, even before Lamar. So I think it's a huge deal.
What about you, AJ? Do you think that this one actually matters?
Well, initially I didn't think it did, but I mean, I'm just I kind of want to lean on David here because I mean he's been a Ravens fan for so long. I feel like it's better because I honestly I was caught on the fence, right? Is because I'm not sure if it was. Let me put it this way. Okay, so like you said, David, they really went all in because 50 mil a year for a guy who's coming off of multiple serious injuries to his knees. Like it is a bit of a gamble, but at the same time, you can see it as a bit of a commitment to like trying to keep their quarterback, I guess. But at the same, like, is it that? And this is not necessarily a question to you. If you want to answer it, fine. But this is more so what I was thinking. Like, is it that this is a move to try and keep Lamar, which from the onset seems like that's the case, but with the fact that OBJ has become such a bit part receiver in the last few seasons, is it possible as well that it is just a move to get a receiver unlike what the Ravens have had in the last few seasons for whoever is going to be under center next season. That is why I was on the fence about it. I still I'm not sure if this guarantees that Lamar stays. And to Lamar, I don't know if it still matters because this doesn't. Let's be real. It has nothing to do with his money. It looks good. It looks good because this is something that you guys have needed for a while, but it doesn't. It has no effect on his actual money, which was the main issue. So I was kind of caught on the fence in that regard. I would love for you to go ahead and take it away and like just get a bit deeper because I really don't know.
Yeah, I was caught on the fence because I didn't think there was any way we were going to sign him. I mean, that's where my shock or confusion came from. Is we always get linked with the free agents, but they go off and sign a big deal with the Jets or the Cardinals or Jacksonville, whoever's splashing money and in the offseason. So I don't. Obviously, I'm biased. I don't think the Ravens make this move if Lamar's not coming back. I think that if you're looking at the meter of whether he's going to stay or go, I definitely think this pushes it towards the stay, whether that means he signs the franchise tag and plays a prove it year and see what happens next year. If Lamar can throw a ton of touchdowns to OBJ and stay healthy, play 17 games and make a good playoff run, that's going to prove it compared to the 2 years that we've just had where Lamar hasn't played the last couple of weeks of the season because he's gotten hurt. But I think OBJ also just gives him that big red zone receiver that he really hasn't had, a huge target outside of Mark Andrews. And I think that's going to be a huge deal for the offense too.
Yeah, so for me, I'm cautiously optimistic looking at this particular deal. And the optimism part is easy to say because first off, as you may mention, David, your receiving room has been struggling over these last few years especially. And Mark Andrews has been targets 1, 2, and 3 for many, many years or for many games in a year. So to have an Odell Beckham Jr. to take some of this attention off of him is going to help the offense in general and is going to help him as well because if you split him out wide, the coverage can't automatically rotate over to his side and double him because there is an Odell Beckham Jr. over on the other side. And I know we're still hoping for the best when we look at the Duvernays that to come back and the other young wide receivers that you've picked up recently. So from that perspective, that is where my optimism comes from. The caution, on the other hand, has some layers to it as well. Because first off, this is Odell Beckham Jr. after his second ACL tear. This is not Odell Beckham Jr. of the New York Giants level of production. He has not played football in a year because he's been injured. The financial outlay that has been committed to him as well does make me pause a bit because he was not coming for cheap. You've given him a lot of money. So now we have to see, is Odell Beckham Jr. in 2023 actually worth $15 million guaranteed, let alone the 18 with the incentives that are built into the deal. And then the other part of it is Lamar is still not in the building. So you have a new offensive coordinator who's just come in, who now is trying to get his offense installed, and your quarterback is not there, and you've just brought in a star wide receiver as well. How is this going to work?
Well, Lamar and OBJ were at Live nightclub on Sunday night. They were getting their table service together. So, at least the two of them are in the room. And, it seems like from everything that's come out, Lamar was definitely doing a bit of recruiting to OBJ to get him to sign with the Ravens.
Okay. So, I mean, we will see how that goes. But that no segues.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I just had one quick question for David right now. Just really quick. You don't have to go in depth, but with OBJ in now, is he your automatic wide receiver one because of his previous profile, or is it one of your other younger receivers? Because like Ken mentioned, the Duvernay, y'all brought in Nelson Aguilar, like Andy Isabella, was the other name I was trying to remember, but like Rashad Bateman, who's supposed to be coming off the injury and all that. Like, so who is your number one? Obviously outside of Mark Andrews, like in terms of the wide receiver, like the actual wide receiver, like who is your number one right now, do you think?
I think assuming he hits the ground healthy from day one, I think it's Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, but okay. So
big if.
It's a big if, it's true. But the thing is, Beckham has not really been the outside threat. He has, especially in recent years, he has done the majority of his work and the majority of his damage on the inside, working from the slot. So, can a slot receiver be the number one receiver? We will see, I guess. But, we have touched on it briefly because, we've heard that Lamar has been heavily involved in the recruiting of Beckham. So, I know you said that this brings you more optimism now So you honestly do believe that Odell Beckham Jr. coming to Baltimore is going to bring Lamar Jackson back into the fold?
I do. I don't think the Ravens front office makes that, that huge commitment, 18 mil, without knowing who's going to throw the ball to Beckham.
Okay. AJ, do you agree?
Well, like I said before, I was really on the fence because I clearly the Ravens have to know more than we do to make this kind of move because it would seem like someone asked me the question earlier, and the only thing I could reply is that, well, the Ravens either want you to think so or they know more than they're letting on. Like I feel like this move to kind of like piggyback off of what David said, I feel like this is a move that you only make if you have like almost without a shadow of a doubt know that this man is coming back. Because I find it harder to believe. The second part of what I was thinking is that you're just going to pay OBJ this to get the ball thrown in by Tyler Huntley or whoever it is there right now. So I feel like they're very optimistic that he's coming back. So I'd have to lean in that direction. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll just move to the next point here because what should Baltimore do now at quarterback? There have been some reports that Baltimore are in scramble mode. They're doing things now because, yes, it would be great to have Lamar Jackson back, but the report is that Lamar Jackson still wants to get his money. He still wants to be not necessarily the highest paid quarterback in the league, but there are two deals that I believe are heavily influencing what's happening right now. The first one is the Deshaun Watson deal, which he has been reported, because we've actually not heard him say anything, but he's been reported to have said that he wants a fully guaranteed contract, just like what Deshaun Watson got. And then the second contract that is playing into this right now is that deal that the New York Giants just decided to give Danny Dimes to Mr. Daniel Jones, which is $40 million a year. Why on earth do you give Daniel Jones $40 million a year when Daniel Jones has not thrown the equivalent of one touchdown pass per game in a season? He has not thrown 16 touchdowns, not especially not even the 17 for the 17 games that we've just had. So we have a lot of influences right now that are having some sort of putting some sort of pressure on this situation with the Ravens and Lamar. So, David, I know you said that you believe that he's coming back. So, what do you believe that Baltimore should do at quarterback?
Pay the man his money. I mean, that's the simplest way I can say it. I mean, he's won an MVP. He's a once in a generation type talent at quarterback, and I think they should pay him what he wants. But I think the Flacco contract from 10 years ago is still the lingering nightmare for the Ravens, in that they gave Flacco, he couldn't sign a free agent for the life of his contract.
Okay, I mean, that's interesting. I hadn't remembered Mr. Bannon himself, Joe Flacco, who caught lightning in the bottle for one season and then has not looked like that again. What about you, AJ? What do you think that Baltimore should do at quarterback?
I think I think that they should find a way to bring Lamar back. Um, and based on the evidence, based on what we were discussing before, you do not pay OBJ 15 mil if your quarterback is going to be Tyler Huntley. I'm sorry. So there, it didn't make any sense. And I keep saying 15 because the 15 is guaranteed. Yeah. So right. Even though the overall figure is 18, but I think you have to find some medium. I really I need to say this again. I really bemoan the fact that Lamar does not have an agent. I think that is causing a whole heap of problems in these discussions because they could have been a lot further advanced instead of this make up to break up sort of situation, in which I feel like I really feel he's going to end back up at the Ravens. I don't think he necessarily wants to leave, but he just wants to be compensated adequately based on the market, which is fair. But this is where an agent comes in to be able to mediate between they don't stop you from getting your money, but they put things into perspective they make the initial discussions with the team. That's who the team wants to communicate with mostly, because a player can call for what they want, but then it's up to the agent to kind of like saw down those expectations a little bit to something more realistic. And I feel like that's what he's missing here. So I don't know if I'm as optimistic as our Ravens fan here that they will just pay him his money, what he wants, but I think that they should come to some sort of amicable. This is business, but some sort of business conclusion to get him back under center, basically.
Yeah, and just to jump in real quick too. I mean, I completely agree with you as far as the agent. I mean, you look at this deal that that Beckham just signed. It's a $2 million salary, a $13 million signing bonus, and $3 million in easily reachable guarantees. That's what an agent does for you, is they figure out a way to make it work with the team salary cap, and it works for the player. And Lamar, get an agent. Nice to say that wearing your jersey.
See, so here's what I believe that the Ravens also should pay Lamar. They should pay him, but they should have paid him in February. They should have paid him in March. So right now we have a very expensive game of chicken that is happening right here because Lamar wants his money. That has been obvious from day one. He has said, "Pay me my money, show me the Benjamins, or I'm not coming." So when they gave him the non-exclusive franchise tag, remember AJ, I said that they were also, again, playing a very dangerous game of chicken, because should some team who out there has more cap space than the Ravens decided, hey, we want to get a really good upgrade at quarterback. So you give you the 2 first-round picks. What are picks at this point anyway? We'll give you the 2 first-round picks, and Lamar will give you $50 million, fully guaranteed. Then David is probably cursing a blue streak because his quarterback is gone. And you are then stuck with Tyler Huntley. So, for the longest while, I've been saying that Baltimore should have just paid him. We should not be this far into the offseason, heading into the draft in the next few weeks, and you still don't know for sure that Lamar Jackson is coming back to be your quarterback for this season. This is ridiculous. And this is not something that we typically associate with the Baltimore franchise, but apparently this is the road that they've decided that they want to take, because they don't want to be the second team to give this kind of guaranteed money, because, I mean, Kirk Cousins had a fully guaranteed contract, but nobody talks about Kirk Cousins. Rightfully so, and the Vikings have not been very good, so why would we talk about them either? But Lamar needs to get his money. Now, one of the things that I did see just today, I don't remember who the writer was, but there's a rumor out there that the Ravens are kicking the tires on a potential trade for a quarterback who would definitely be an upgrade on Tyler Huntley. But we will all agree it's not as good as Lamar Jackson. The rumor is that they have reached out to the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, AJ, they've reached out to the Tennessee Titans to get, what's his name now? To get their starting quarterback. Whose name?
Tannehill?
Yes, get Ryan Tannehill.
I was hoping you would tell me at least Malik Willis. I was hoping you would tell me at least Malik Willis. You know what? Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the rumor out there that Ryan Tannehill could be in play if there is no movement on this contract for Lamar Jackson. So I see you shaking your head, David. Tell me what you're thinking.
I didn't see that report, so it took me by surprise. But Ryan Tannehill is also a very expensive quarterback. I don't think he has a very cheap deal, and he's obviously had his injury issues over the last couple of years, and also hasn't shown an ability to win in the playoffs. So I would not be very happy with that.
What about you, AJ?
Well, you know how I feel about Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill. I mean, that would be ultimate we do not know what we're doing move, and just trying to like make something happen out of desperation. And it kind of stinks to the high heavens when front offices do this kind of thing, like with no sort of contingency plan. I mean, let's be honest, it's hard to, it's almost damn near impossible to replace Lamar's talent in the league. So, and anybody else might be lateral step at best if you can get that, but it's a step down. But Tannehill, nah, you're going down to the basement now. What? No, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And this is no, it's no, but it's no disrespect to Tannehill, but it's coming from Lamar, who was essentially a game winner for them. This is a game-winning quarterback, right? Ryan Tannehill is not that. He needs the pieces around him, and he's just not going to be, especially in that division. You are taking a step back, a huge few steps back. Come on, and like David already said, you still have to pay him. So you paid him to live in the basement? Nah, brother, cannot work.
So I'm all right. I agree with you, both of you, that stepping from Lamar Jackson to Ryan Tannehill is going to be a step down. It is going to be a step backwards. However, it's a less of a step to go from Lamar Jackson to Ryan Tannehill than it is to go from Lamar Jackson to Tyler Huntley for an entire season.
Well, I agree there.
And you look at the options that they have right now still available on the quarterback market. Would you prefer them to go get Matty Ice? Would you prefer them to go get Carson Wentz?
No, but I mean, if I could speak for our Ravens fan, and David, I'm gonna let you jump in right in after me. What I prefer is that they pay Lamar some GD money. If the other option is Ryan Tannehill and you still have to pay him, like find some way to pay Lamar. That's all. David, you could jump in here.
The only thing I could say with Ryan Tannehill is he knows how to hand the ball off to a good running back. So J.K. Dobbins would be very happy if Tannehill came. But yeah, I think if I were to invent some other quarterback in the league right now that I would have, maybe Jordan Love, if Aaron Rodgers decided to go back to the Packers. But there were also some reports recently that the Ravens are still doing their due diligence on all the quarterbacks in this year's draft class. And I think I've seen a mock or two that shows the Ravens trading up or packaging Lamar in a trade to go get an Anthony Richardson or somebody like that. So I think it's a bit of posturing, but we'll see what happens in the draft too.
Yeah. So I did a quick check here just now because I know we did say that they would still have to pay him. But Tannehill right now for 2023, he is looking at $36.6 million in contract, which is $4 million more than what the Ravens have Lamar on the hook for with the franchise tag, but $4 million less than what Daniel Jones is getting, that Lamar Jackson is not going to take less than. So, I mean, when you say A, you have to say B. It's like, if we don't have Lamar and we're stuck with Huntley, then we know for sure we're coming last in the division. That is a guarantee. So, I mean,
yeah, but
you could do worse than Tannehill for a year.
I kind of see it like if you were to buy a car and like the 2023 model is like a couple grand more than the 2022 model and has a lot more features and could do a lot more. Like, wouldn't you just make that investment and just get the newer model one time instead of taking a step back? That's kind of how I see it. I mean, that's just me. I don't own millions of dollars, so I can't speak to that level. But I just kind of think I'd rather pay for convenience of having a quarterback who I know can actually win me games in tight situations. Because the one thing we have been seeing for the last couple of seasons was that Lamar had absolutely nothing to work with, and that he was pulling games out of his behind on his own. And in certain cases, imagine Ryan Tannehill having nothing to work with. Ryan Tannehill had to have at some points a combination of Derrick Henry, Corey Davis, what's the other boy? They brought in Julio. What's the other one? AJ Brown, right? That they left. AJ Brown and Julio, and then for a point in time, Jonnu Smith and some others, and still couldn't advance in the well, as far as enough as they wanted in the postseason. So imagine now with Rashad Bateman, OBJ, Nelson Aguilar. Come on, man. Come on, let's not do that.
It's but we understand how you feel about Aguilar because I mean, yeah, that was your guy on your squad until he decided to head over
Beat
by
me in a
David.
Super Bowl and then come back and play absolute foolishness.
I mean, I could feel you. I can feel your pain, sir. But the thing is, I'm looking right now. I just did a quick Google search, and it said that the Ravens had 10.3 million dollars in cap space. That is with Lamar currently at the 32 million with the franchise tag. So David, they kind of up against the cap. I don't know how you can pay Lamar 40, $45 million. Well, not 40 because he's not playing on 40. So 42 to $45 million this season when your cap situation looks as tight as it
Yeah.
does.
I think that does include after the tag, though, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's some ways to get creative with the players that have agents and who converts their salary into a signing bonus. And, we certainly see that enough. The Ravens are using void years for the first time ever, something, Ken, I think you're very familiar with from your Saints, which is,
Yep.
we'll see how that works out. But I think they're ready to get creative to make it work once all the pieces are put together.
Yeah. No, you mentioned that void year thing. How do you guys feel about this void year? Adding voided years to a contract so you can spread a signing bonus over a number of years. How do you actually feel about that?
I mean, I actually never thought about it deeply. I had just kind of accepted that, it's just kind of a way to get around um, having to pay out too many large sums of money and then just being able to like build up a roster. Like I'd never thought about it because I feel like it's almost like it's almost like the concept of hire purchase back in the day, and which is still something that's more common nowadays, but people don't call it hire purchase. It's like paying off stuff over time might still end up paying a little extra, but it allows you being able to spread out payments. It takes some of this thing off of having to put out such a large sum of money at once. So um, I'd never thought about it since you asked. I mean, I'll listen to what y'all think, but I didn't really have a big problem with it, to be honest.
What were you doing?
It's a bit of a way to game the system. I know this isn't an EPL podcast, but I know you're both soccer fans, and it's like Chelsea giving out a 10-year deal to play the financial fair play rules and and get around things like that when you pay a lot of money for a guy. So I just see it as another
A legal loophole.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, this is the NFL version of Klarna. Where you go to buy something online and you say, hey, you can either pay all of it right now or you can pay this in 4 installments.
Affirm after
So,
pay. You already know Klarna, all of them. That's the NFL version. Yeah, I use them, so.
I mean, fair enough. For me personally, and I guess I'm the one that's best positioned on this panel to talk about this void year thing because that is what the Saints do every single year. We are so over the cap every single season, but we have these 4 years tacked on to somebody's salary, 5 years tacked on, where it is not as if to say that we haven't paid all of the money up front. It's just that for the accounting purposes, we are able now to amortize that payment over a number of years where it doesn't hit the cap all at once, even though the Bensons have already written that check. My issue where the void years thing is concerned is that there is always going to come a point where you will have to pay the piper. You will have to write all of those checks that you've been promising, and your cap situation is going to look like mess because sooner or later, all these guys still have to be paid, and then you're not going to have any money to pay the guys that are actually going to play for you. So, for me personally, And I think I said this to you, AJ, maybe like 2 weeks ago. I'd like the Saints to just decide this year is the throwaway year. We're letting all of these big salaries hit the cap this year so we can get out of this situation because you can only have so many players on your roster, right? You can only pay so many people. If your cap is $200 million and you have $40 million tied up paying cap charges from 2 and 3 years ago, you only have 160 million now to commit to everybody else. It is creative accounting, but down the road, it is going to hamstring your team. So I'd rather let it cut my hamstrings now and let me take the year to heal and come back next season having a huge amount of cap to work with rather than having to deal with these nickel and dime situations that we've had to deal with over these last couple of years. All right, so David, we will not torture you on your Ravens anymore because there's something else that is major that is starting or has started today, and that is the NBA play-in tournament. The playoffs have officially begun, where in the past it used to be the top 8 teams that will make it to the playoffs. Now we have the top 6 teams in each conference that are definitely in, and then we have positions 7 through 10 who are competing with each other for the opportunity to make the 7th and 8th seed. Now, what is also interesting here is that this is the 3rd year, I think, or 4th year of us having the play-in tournament. No team that has qualified for the NBA playoffs through the play-in tournament has made it out of the first round. So they've been playing for the um the opportunity to get knocked out by whoever's the number 1 or 2 seed in the playoffs. So AJ, I saw you shaking your head immediately from the time I mentioned the word play-in. So tell the how do you feel about the play-in?
Oh my God. So since we started, David, let me give you a little history here, bro. From the time we began this podcast, and Ken, I think this is the 3rd year because I'm pretty sure they started in 2021. That's what it was. It was after the bubble, if I'm not mistaken. So it was 2021. This will be the 3rd year. By the time we started this and that playing crap started, I said I did not like it. I don't like the fact that no, there are more teams. 2/3 of the league now has a chance to go beyond the regular season. You're already playing 82 games to try to get yourself into a playoff spot. No, 2 extra teams have an 83rd game to try to get themselves in position to get beat in another 7-game series. I mean, good grief. Do we really need to add that 1 game just for the sake of money? You know what? The thing is, right? I don't think that I've been thinking about it a lot more, especially since you brought this question up for today, right, Ken? And I mean, obviously, because we had the rundown before. I don't think it is that I am completely against the idea of a play-in tournament. I don't like this format. I think it's just adding more garbage to the disposal, basically. Like, I don't think we need 10 teams from each conference doing this. You know, and you know what kind of irks me about it too? You know that in the NBA and the NHL are the only 2 leagues, where the teams who finish up the top of their conference don't basically there's like no advantage besides like having home court / field / whatever, right? In the MLB, the MLS, and NFL, those number 1 conferences, of course, we know like they have a bye week, they have a little rest. In the reason why it's actually kind of different, so like I said, the NHL and the NBA are different, and the reason why it's more understandable in the NHL is because those number 1 seeds actually go in as division champs as opposed to conference champs. So then those division winners play the wild card teams because there's only 4 divisions in total, so it's like 2 and 2. So they go in as not conference champions, or conference leaders. So that's understandable. But at the end of the NBA season, we forget all about divisions because it's just the Eastern and Western Conference, and then whoever is the first plays the A. So they're going in as conference leaders. The only benefit The only benefit to all of that, getting through the regular season with the most stellar record in your conference, is just being able to have home court, which in itself is a good thing. But that's about it. And then no, to add insult to injury, don't you have teams playing off for a chance to lose more games? Like really, more teams playing off for a chance to lose more. Like seriously, all the way down to 10. I mean, I get the appeal because, to be honest, since the plane has started, like we've seen kind of like a roller coaster of teams. Some teams who started in the plane like a few years ago are now playoff teams, or they might be out, and then like it's been a rotation. But it just seems absolutely pointless to me beyond the monetary value of it. It just seems absolutely pointless. And I don't even get excited about it because let's be real. Like, I mean, a one-off game just does present that sort of excitement like college ball because anything can happen on the night, right? But I mean, I just don't care for it. I don't like for what reason. Like let the number 8 seed play the number 1 seed in a one-off game or something. Let that be the excitement. I just like reformat it some other way. This 6 to 10, this 7 to 10 thing, it is absolutely useless to me.
What about you, David? Because AJ hasn't told us how he really feels. So
I respect your opinion. I love the play-in. I think it's great. I mean, I'm a huge college basketball fan, so come every March, I love to see the Cinderellas. I love to see the Princetons who are a 15 seed who's going to go in and make a great run to the Elite Eight or Sweet 16, and I think it's great. I think it actually takes some of the tanking away. You've got the teams that are like, oh wait, I can actually fight and make the playoffs this year versus just giving it up as soon as they realize they're not going to hit that 8th seed. So I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think it kind of brings a little bit of that chaos that we saw in the bubble, during COVID. So I'm definitely a fan.
see, I have to break the tie, and I am more on the side of David than I am on the side of AJ. Anyone who has heard me talk about the playing tournament would know that I've actually said that I kind of like it though. I kind of like the concept of the playing because a lot of what we find in terms of like the basketball is that the best player on the floor usually is a very large determining factor in who wins a series because you have 7 games and more than likely the better team is going to win a 7 game series. But when you have that single game elimination thing happening, anything can go down. It's like the the allure of having a game 7 in a playoff series where it literally comes down to turn up tonight, win the game and go forward, or lose and go home. That additional pressure now is where we get to see what some teams are made of, who actually has the stuff, and who deserves to be home. So I like the playing. I've come to like the playing and the excitement of the playing because otherwise it's like the perfect lead in to the playoffs for me. Because you come off of the long 82 game season where I mean, let's be real. Most of us might watch the basketball early in the season and then we'll watch the basketball late in the season. But when you see those games that knock you around between February and March, nobody really. It's a good thing that the All Star break comes there because nobody really cares. The All Star break is what then gets people to know, okay, now we should start paying attention to basketball again. So I like to play. I
Yeah, you know who likes to play in as well? Patrick Beverly. Look how that turned out. Man,
I
I like I said, I think it's more that I just dislike this format. It feels like the English Championship playoff. Like where the top 2 teams get relegated, and then you have like a bunch of teams below that playing off for one more spot. And then getting a trophy for essentially coming third and winning a playoff. Like, really? Uh, I just feel like they could be reformatted. But then again, this is only the 3rd year. I'll give them a buy on that, right? Because you never know. They may find some other creative ways to get it done. But I really hope it doesn't stay. Again, this is like the one league that has more than half of the teams being able to have a chance to get into the playoff. Like, Get out
Yeah,
of here.
but even before we had the playing tournament, half of the league was making it into the playoffs
And
because
that
the
was already a
13.
problem. That was already a problem.
Yeah, we
I mean,
already
but
have
at
13
least
to
that was just
16.
over half. Now we're at 2/3.
I mean, it is what it is. We know that the main reason that they did it was not necessarily for the teams to get the opportunity to make it into the tournament. It's for the money. And right now,
The views.
I'm
I'm
pretty
still
sure.
watch it though. I mean, I'm stupid like that. I'm still watch it.
Yeah, I mean the teams that have made it into the play-in right now, these games that are both tonight and tomorrow night are probably going to be the highest rated games in the NBA until we probably reach the finals. So in the first round of the play-in tonight, we have the Hawks, the Atlanta Hawks. They're taking on the Miami Heat in Miami. And then, well, for the Eastern Conference, and then the Bulls, the Chicago Bulls, are going up north to Toronto to play against the Raptors. So, David, who do you have winning these two playing games?
I mean, I will say I pay a lot more attention to the Western Conference than I do the Eastern Conference. I also already know who's currently leading the Hawks and Heat game. But I think the Raptors will pull it off. I think they have the playoff experience to beat the Bulls tomorrow for sure.
Okay, AJ, do you have the same picks, or do you believe that something different is going to happen?
I was for tomorrow. I was going to say the Raptors as well because of that same thing, like just the experience. And the Bulls are a young team, still trying to get it together. So I think making the play in itself is sort of like an achievement for them this season. Because I mean, yeah, they need to start this entire project over basically. So I won't be surprised if the Raptors take that game at home. Obviously, they're going to go out after that because playing teams don't do anything. But I'll take the Raptors tomorrow. As for tonight, I because we are that game is going on while we're filming. I don't even know what to say. My pick would have been the Heat, so let's see how that finishes.
Okay. So yeah, I actually do agree that the Raptors, they expect the Raptors to beat the Bulls. The Bulls have not been a very good team for the majority of the season. They started out relatively hot and then they have cooled all the way off. So I don't think that they're going to have enough to get them past the Toronto Raptors, in Toronto especially. I also did expect that the Heat would have beaten the Hawks because, man, I'm not a fan of Trae Young. I've not hidden my feelings where he is concerned. Um, but somehow they're up 15 on the Heat at the half as we are recording this. So that is something to pay attention to. All right, and then for the Western Conference, we have the Lakers. They're hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves today, and then the Thunder are going over to New Orleans tomorrow. So, David, who do you have to come out of the West in these two games?
I'm going to go with the Lakers and the Thunder.
Okay, so the Lakers and the Thunder. I know if the T Wolves, because the Lakers are 7-8. So with the T Wolves losing, then the T Wolves play the Thunder. I think on Friday, no, on Saturday. So who wins that one?
To stick with the Cinderella runs from college basketball, I'm going to go with the Thunder. I could see them sliding in at 8.
Okay, so then you have the Lakers. They'll be playing against the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round, and the Thunder. They'll be going up against. I gotta say our David because that's where we are. Our Denver Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs. So AJ, who do you have coming out of the West?
Yeah, I was actually on the same train of thought with David there. I have the Lakers over the Wolves for tonight, and then I feel I just had a sneaky. There's no way all four home teams could win, so I had to pick an away team to pull off a victory. And I feel like out of all of these matchups, that one could be the Thunder. That this was like heading into tonight. Yeah, so I was going to go with the Thunder as well, so I'm gonna stick with that pick.
So I mean, I guess this section is is lacking controversy because I have to agree as well. I don't believe that the Timberwolves, especially in the wake of Rudy Gobert punching slow mo on the weekend, that they're going to have enough cohesion necessary to beat LeBron James and the Lakers. Which is not to say that I believe in the Lakers. I just don't believe in the Thunder. And then, sorry, in the T Wolves. And then the Thunder and the Pelicans, well, they were my Cinderella pick to make the playoffs. Did they say the playoffs or the play-in? I think I had them as the sixth seed. And they looked good early on, and then they fell off spectacularly. Injuries have not helped them at all. Grand Theft Alvarado, he's been hurt for quite a while. We know that Zion Williamson, he is off the floor more than he's on, so that was always going to be a case where they were concerned as well. So yeah, I have the Lakers to go up against the two seed Grizzlies, and then the Thunder to be the AFC to play against the Nuggets. But I'm really interested to see what that 2-7 is going to look like if it does indeed work out to be the Grizzlies versus the Lakers. I hate the Grizzlies. I really don't like the Grizzlies at all, at all, at all. So I'd be happy if the Lakers could knock them off. But also, in fact, I won't talk about the Lakers tonight. That would probably keep us here.
That's
way
an entire
too
other
long.
discussion. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Because the Lakers have been the team close to my heart for a while until that interloper came.
Wait, David, who's your NBA team? You are a Denver fan?
Yeah, I'm a Denver fan. I wasn't
Okay.
I wasn't really a big NBA fan until I
Okay,
moved to Denver, and
gotcha.
yeah. How do you not like the back-to-back MVP?
Oh, interesting. All right.
But you got to also remember too. So like David, he came from the Maryland area, right? And from what I come to understand is that most people from Maryland, their basketball team would actually end up being the Wizards, who have not won 50 games in my lifetime. So
Yeah.
why would you do
Yeah.
that to yourself?
Yeah, no.
But David, it's been fun though. It's been great having you here. We have definitely enjoyed your takes where the Ravens are concerned. One of these days when we are having a more soccer centric conversation, we'll bring you back because I would like you to well, we often have conversations with regards to your Manchester United, and that would be a fun discussion to have. Hopefully, it will be at a time when you won the weekend on that weekend and not lost, because most of the time when I would have thought to bring a United fan on, it's probably after a loss.
That's
But
fair. There have been a lot of them lately, so over the last couple of years. But in Ten Hag we trust. So
I am with you there. Right now, you are showing the green shoots of recovery. We'll see how it goes. AJ, David is not one of the irrational United fans. So
Look forward to having some convos then.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can actually have a decent conversation
Yeah.
with him as opposed to those that were saying that United were in the title race, even though like I mentioned last week they were looking to top out at 76 points, and we've not seen a league winner top out at 76 points probably since before the Premier League had started.
Yeah.
But that's a good spot for us to land this episode for this week, David. We definitely do want to thank you for coming. We would love to have you back again at some point. We will definitely talk about that, discuss
Yeah.
when that will be. Hopefully, it will be maybe if Lamar signs, then we can bring you back where you can drink a glass of
Yep,
champagne.
exactly. I'll pop the bottle, and no, this has been great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah. Thanks
This
for
was
being
great.
on, man. For real.
Yep, definitely. And as always, we thank you for spending some time with us. Any point of time, any amount of time that you've given to us in your day, we appreciate it. We do not take that for granted. As always, we invite you to like this video if you're watching it on YouTube, or if you're watching it on Facebook, go ahead and like it. Hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel so that you'll know every time that we're on. If you're listening to us on any of the audio platforms, thank you so much as well. We don't take this for granted, and we hope that you'll be with us next week when we're back again for another episode of the GreenBaje podcast. So, as always, that is AJ. He is the Green. I am Ken. I am the Beige. And we will see you next time.